All right, we actually have a name this week. And I'm super excited. The podcasting did.
That's nice.
That's right. Yeah.
I was very shocked that wasn't taken. As soon as we went to do it, I was like, somebody's bound to have gotten that. And they still might have, but they're not on YouTube. So
that's the great thing about technology. You can just
right.
type it right in. Oh, we're good.
And I don't think we're in trouble. So we're talking about Season 6, Episode 2. And, of course, how rude of me as your host. I'm Justin. He's Matt. He's JP. You can't see me pointing, but you'll know them by the voices. Fellas, how have you been since last week?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Justin.
Can't complain. Yeah, it was some good Sunday night TV, yeah.
I'm telling you now.
Oh, man, I'm so much happier than last week.
Let's go left to right.
Oh,
Matt, you seem excited.
Yes, I'm very excited. I can't wait to get into it. I took notes.
My girlfriend will back me up. As we were sitting there watching it, I was like, I feel like I need to take notes. So on my cell phone, under the Notepad app, I actually have a few.
Right, no, I
notes.
analogued it, man. I pen and paper, and I was just writing
You're
stuff
the
real
man.
quick.
I didn't take notes, but I did burn the roof of my mouth on a Tombstone pizza, so, it's not like I came out unscathed.
That's the proper way to eat a Tombstone pizza.
I'm telling you. And it's not the same if it doesn't fall off and just like lava in your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'm with Matt, which unlike Matt, I liked last week. So I was more along lines with JP. I think JP liked it a little bit more than I did, but I did like the first one. Matt, you were a little underwhelmed.
I think that's why I'm so excited about this week, because last I had so much to increase.
Yeah, JP had a good point, before the podcast. He said the thing about it is that it just completely takes you by surprise.
It does.
You think it's going to be another just laid-back storytelling.
Yeah, just a real snoozer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I had text JP the time the woman got hacked up when she was smoking a cigarette.
I
was like,
that
would make a fantastic anti-smoking
I was wondering
campaign.
what you were talking about. The whole time I was imagining, someone find a pack of smokes on a zombie and was like, should I smoke them? Should I not? Are they infected? Well, but that wasn't it at all.
That's been in a couple movies. That's a classic thing where at the beginning of the foreshadow, there was a lot of foreshadowing in this episode.
Absolutely.
But where Carol was like, what she said, smoking will kill, kind of just putting the woman in her place kind of thing.
I figured you might think that's what I was talking about when she told the woman to go smoke outside and be like, oh, that wasn't really all that badass. And then you see her outside later and it's like, frap. So I just this was one of those episodes where I sat on the edge of my seat pretty much the entire episode because it was kind of like what I wanted. Now, granted, nobody important died, and I can deal with that in terms of
Rick?
Right.
No Michonne?
And it was still badass.
Daryl, wow.
The Wolves would have been completely screwed, though, had Michonne been there. Because I say that, Rick too, of course, but Michonne would have been in her element. Most of the time, everyone's got guns, and she's got a sword rolling around taking out stragglers.
You got to take out that equalizer.
Oh, man, she would have just been like, I love this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. And
a hog and slop.
I want to send out a personal apology to the guy who plays Morgan for making fun of his bow staff skills last week. Because holy shit, that was it was. I wanted to see more of it. There wasn't nearly enough of it, but man, that was okay. I'm sorry. So yeah, you're good, dude.
Yeah.
He was really going to town.
It's like we thought you were playing bow staff in your room, and then you ended up actually whooping ass. That's my thing. Is whoever trained him must have been a badass. You know how many people probably train their entire lives and really don't. I mean, he was a master of that.
I was looking up some of the backstory on some of the characters, and because he's talking about how he was in Vietnam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like his character, and so that could. His character was in
Morgan
Vietnam.
was in Vietnam?
Wasn't Morgan in Vietnam?
I don't remember him saying that, honestly. If he was...
Yeah, that might have been way
maybe
early
something
on.
from the comic books? It's Wikipedia also.
Maybe it was in... I don't remember him
it.
saying in the comics. I know he was a lot different in the comics than he is in the show. I mean, in the comics, at this point, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a while since I've read him, but at this point, Morgan was just kind of still like a whiny little baby, right?
He was pretty shell-shocked, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, he just left his little boy dragging a chain, his undead boy, so...
Yeah,
okay.
I don't remember. I feel bad.
I feel like you had some kind of military.
That may be true. I can't refute that, but
his bow staff skills are pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the episode, what did he say? A cheesemaker taught him? Is that what he said?
That's what
he said. Something weird like that.
I asked my girlfriend when he said we were sitting there watching it, and he said, where'd you learn that or something? And he mumbled it. I said, did he say a cheesemaker?
That's what it sounded like to me.
Sign me up for cheesemaking classes. Yikes. Jesus, man.
It's kind of like churning butter. Like you got to constantly turn the thing. So that's how he's learning how to smash the zombie's head.
I'm glad that you couldn't see the visual.
Yeah, there's a great Sopranos line. Tony's trying to get his cousin from the other side. He's a master cheesemaker, and Syl turns to Paulie, and he does the jerking off motion. So's Paulie here. And anyway, it's a lot better in the episode.
I actually had a friend that had a really good idea we should do a separate segment for this podcast, and I say it during this podcast because I actually got a lot of feedback from the last one. So he had a great idea for a separate segment to do outside of the weekly episode by episode. He said what we should do is we should take characters from other shows and see how they would fare in the Walking Dead universe. For instance, take Jax from Sons of Anarchy. How do you think he would do and why? Take, anybody, any show that you like. Walter White's. How do you think he would do in the Walking Dead world? Which there are fan theories to suggest that they are in the same universe.
the
Bad
blue
and-
meth.
yeah. But just like that. So if you those listening, if you like that idea, let me know, and we'll talk about possibly
the
doing
two
that.
girls from Two Broke Girls.
Well,
How would they fare? Maybe
hopefully
they
not.
Die pretty quickly.
I'd hope.
I'd like to see Barney Fife, quite frankly.
I like to see Barney Stinson.
One bullet.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, just one. That's all you need.
Barney Stinson on The Walking Dead. But I was glad to see we got a little bit more of that girl's backstory. What's her name? Like, how do you say her name? Is it like?
because he said it at the end when she
I
had the
have
letter
it-
like try just
It's a weird name.
survive or whatever.
Just so
yeah.
you guys know that I do my research, I had it pulled up because
I enjoyed that
remember
opening.
It, for
I
a second.
enjoyed that opening quite a bit of just her.
I'm trying to find her name. I just can't remember. But
Ingrid or something?
Yeah.
Is that close to that? It's like a
Ingrid.
fairy tale name or something.
Yeah, it was.
Idris.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Idris
But
Elba or something.
I really liked it because I would wondered what was her thing. I actually had thought she was going to be like on the inside for the wolves. Or
I was gonna
something
say,
like that, too.
I think she's a mole, man, and
Think
I think
so
that
still?
she's fallen for Carl, and that's why she's so
Ooh.
torn and wants to leave. I think there's something fishy about
That's
her.
a
So
good
that's the
prediction.
yeah.
That is a really good
Whether
prediction.
it's for the wolves or whoever, I think
that's
she's
the
up to
reason
no
they-
good.
Maybe that's the reason they didn't even come near them. Like because they ran after
Enid.
was a dude. Okay, and Enid. There,
Enid,
okay,
there
we
you
go.
go.
Now
Enid.
what's the son? What's his name?
Talking about
The
the one
emo
that
kid.
hates Carl.
Yeah, the one that just
the
says
one that hates Rick. Excuse me.
whatever. The only thing he said in the entire episode was no. He
Right?
said that like 8 times. He's like it was the equivalent of Vin Diesel in Furious 7 saying family. And he was just like, no. Do you want a haircut? No.
No. I really got I really this season started gaining a newfound respect for Carl. Like I didn't like him when he was the whole like emotional kid, and they're like, "Oh, you don't understand what he's going through," and he's
He's
like,
on his game.
I hate my dad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, while everybody's losing their shit, other than Carol, which we'll get to in a second, running around being the biggest badass in the show.
Yeah, I gotta bring my notes out.
Carl, I love that he just picks up his rifle, and I mean, it's no hesitation. He's like, when she comes in, he's like, "You're gonna help me defend the house. We're gonna protect Judith." I mean, he really, if he can stay away from that, "I hate my dad, everything sucks" attitude that he had at like mid-season of 4, then I think I may be able to turn into a Carl fan.
I think that was Carl going through that phase though,
Right.
real quick, because now, I mean, he's like he has a little sister to protect, and he's had to grow up really fast, and that was a really nice when he saved the guy, when he saved the kid, and then he's
Right.
like, again, so he just took a very alpha male.
Oh,
thing.
absolutely.
It's like that kid is growing up.
He didn't
man.
want to murder that guy on the lawn, though. He didn't want to murder him. You
Right.
remember
Right.
when they're raiding the prison? He didn't think twice about offing somebody.
You're right. I didn't
Right.
think
Yeah.
about that. So
Yeah.
we kind of are getting a little bit of humanity back in him. It could be spending some time around other people. that
I'm
don't,
just waiting
you
to
know.
see what's going to break Morgan, man. I mean, after losing his son, he's still not jaded enough to want to take human life, and just something awful is going to happen, and
That's
he's
what-
gonna have to
I
cross
just
that. And
wish
did he
he would-
murder the person in that house?
That was what Kevin
Yeah.
Kevin Smith was asking on The Talking Dead, because he said, like, no offense to the show, but he said that their sound effects are pretty wicked. When someone dies, it sounds pretty gross. It's like smushing Jello, just like.
Oh.
There really wasn't much. It
talking
didn't
about the-
sound like he
The
killed him.
fight with the wolf, like where he smashed the guy's head into that glass.
Yeah, at the
poster
very-
and
yeah,
stuff.
very
And-
end.
like right before the commercial, right
Yeah.
before the blackout when he was like
Yeah.
sorry and stuff like that. I don't think because that was one of the guys that he kicked out with him. That's one of the things. The gun that the guy picked up right before they ran out.
Right.
That's gonna come back, and that gun is gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
responsible
Yeah,
for
no
somebody's death.
That is
That's
true.
gonna happen,
But yeah, he's probably keeping that guy captive.
and Morgan's gonna take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Do we think Carl is going to lose an eye like he did in the
I
comics?
want him to so bad.
I do too. I mean, he'd be like a little miniature governor.
It's
Yeah.
the next step, man.
I feel like they've got to kill him though to stop the pubescent. I mean, they're only like 500 and something days into the zombie apocalypse, and I know it's a show, but Carl has hit the most meanest form of puberty I've ever
Like
seen.
soap
He's
opera
shooting up
aging.
there, yeah.
I was watching season 2 before I came here tonight because I just really want to see the difference in Rick. I mean, and all of the characters, but mainly you see it in Rick as being like this kind of like super, like every man's man kind of guy trying to be nice, to now he's just like biting people's throats out, whatever he needs to do. But I mean, it's crazy that the transformation. But
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with them because they're spending too much time. I feel like in a lot of episodes, always like watch after Meredith. Is it Meredith? Judith. I knew it was an ith.
There's an
something
if in there.
It's always like
somewhere.
watch the baby.
Right.
And how was I don't know exactly. I don't know how the community works. But when Carol was putting the casserole dish or whatever she was making in the oven, she was watching Judith on a little screen. How is that possible?
Well, they have electricity there.
Yeah,
they
have
do?
like solar
Okay.
panels.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
have solar panels and
But you would think they would be putting that to more important things.
yeah,
Like
right. Be
baby
more
monitors.
regulating on your.
Be a lot less casseroles.
Just send
yeah.
Carl up there. That's all you got.
Yeah.
It's your baby monitor.
But Carol, again, it's like we're watching the season 5 premiere. You know, Carol, the freaking hero of the day. I was so happy and disappointed in one moment of that show when she showed up all wolfed up. I thought she was Jesus. For those of you that. Yeah, go ahead.
Comic book ninja, yeah. The gay comic book ninja.
I was gonna say
yeah.
for those that don't watch, you know, he's like one of the most badass gay characters I've ever seen in anything.
It was
like
the weirdest panel. Like you have no clue as to like any sexuality on him. In the next frame, he's just like shirtless in bed with another dude. It's like Boondock Saints when you realize Willem Dafoe's gay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
totally you're just whoa, okay.
Yeah, definitely not
That's
your
cool.
like flaming, gay guy, but he just is badass. And when she showed up, my girlfriend could tell you, I clapped. I was like, "It's Jesus!" And then she ripped off her mask, and it was like, I was like, "Oh, it's Carol." But then immediately I was like, "Oh, it's Carol!" And then I was like, right back into it.
She was getting it.
She's becoming a female Rick. Like
She
she's,
is.
She's becoming the female counterpart of Rick. Go ahead.
Ooh, I was just saying. I kind of see like Carol's the devil on Rick's shoulder, Morgan's the angel, and they're whispering in the ear.
I did write that down.
Morgan
Oh,
and
man.
Daryl are like sharing a seesaw on his other shoulder, though. You know, Daryl's trying to be the voice of reason now too, which to me is mind-boggling. Watching season 1 when he just like wants to axe that guy in the head, Jim, because he's been bit. To where now, they have a guy that's trying to kill Eugene, and Daryl's like, Rick, like, don't do it.
Yeah, I wrote it down. Morgan is the yin to Carol's yang.
Absolutely. I
Like,
think that's why you see them crossing paths so much. Too,
Oh yeah,
because
especially
they-
at the end, that silent
yeah.
cross, like nothing said. Oh man,
Yep. They
Oof.
both represent. If the show is based around Rick, it doesn't have to be, but if you want to base it around Rick, one represents the trying to keep him rooted in his humanity, and the other one is pulling to his do whatever you have to, kill anyone you have to survive side. It is really cool to see.
Well, the
them.
work is cut out for Morgan.
Yeah.
He's far down that road.
I mean, at what point do you get to where you're just like, hey, I don't want to kill people? I mean, like these people are hacking your folks up with machetes ruthlessly, and you're like, I don't want to kill anyone. Let's just tie them up.
That's a backstory I would like to see. An episode focusing on where Morgan's been.
I think they'll do that.
Yeah,
the
they've
past
totally done that
seasons.
before.
I feel like they're going to off him, and I hope they don't because that's too predictable. One of you guys
please
called
don't.
it the last podcast we had that they're going to take Morgan out, which that'd be too predictable. Like we just got him back. We've been wanting him since season 1. Let us keep him for a little while.
Right.
Tyrese took his death in the show the way that Morgan actually died in the comics, so maybe that'll buy him a little more time.
I think he's going to be another Merle. We're licking our chops for so long, and he finally comes back just to take the bullet for someone for the good of the group.
Yeah, and that's a shitty feeling for this. Oh, sorry, I got really passionate
hey,
about that.
That's why we're doing the podcast. Get
It's a shitty feeling because at any given moment somebody a character you're really invested in is gonna die.
Is gonna
and just
die.
not be on there anymore, and then you got to find a new character to appreciate or to care about.
See,
Man.
I like Morgan, but the more and more he's like, we shouldn't kill people, and looking disgustedly as people are killing others in self-defense, mind you. The less I'm liking him. Like, I like him, and I like the character, but I'm like, dude, I'm a realist. Like, you live in a world where people are like, they're jumping over the walls. They chop this woman up for smoking a cigarette. They're trying to take everything you have, and you're like, well, we shouldn't kill them. I'd be like, kill them all. I mean, like, even the ones you capture, kill them. If you let them go, they're going to come back.
I was just really torn this episode. Like, which would you rather be, the villager or the pillager? You know what I'm saying? Would you rather be coming over that wall, or would you rather be sitting inside?
Man, because the way they got because I'm not really too familiar, like very familiar with the comic books, just a little bit here and there. But like the wolves,
They weren't in the
Yeah,
Are they
they're
like
totally
slaves?
original.
Someone had said they thought.
Oh, it's an original thing to the show.
yeah.
So far,
Just
yeah.
like
Oh.
just like the CDC thing wasn't in the comic. That was
Okay.
but a lot of people said they think that that they might be taking the place of the Whisperers. Not that they're very similar, but that they're kind of taking their role. But it wasn't the Whisperers that came to the gate, right? Because in the comic, some folks come to the gate and there's a shootout, and that's what attracts a horde of zombies. And then Alexandria. I think that's what's going to happen next episode. I feel like next episode is where all shit's gonna hit the fan in Alexandria. I feel like all of the horde is heading right to Alexandria.
Oh, yeah.
And if they do it like the comics, take a good look at all those characters because a good half of them are gone.
They need to prune out the cast, man. It's getting too heavy. That's
It
for
is
sure.
getting a lot. I can't keep up with everybody.
It's hard to connect when you have so many characters. Like you connected with Rick and Carol because we spent so much time with them in their small little group, and now you're adding all these people, which I'm glad because I kind of hate when shows add people just to have someone to kill off.
Yeah.
But it's like now we've got these new people in. It's time to pick one person from the inner circle and take them out.
Right.
Break my heart and let's move aside to bring in a new character.
Who do you think that's going to be?
I still predict that Carl's going to die because Judith, she's dead in the comic book, yet for some reason she's still alive in the show. I don't think that they won't kill Carl.
Yeah, but that's gonna take Rick so many steps back.
I think that's what the show. I think that's what they want. I think that they want to see Rick, Savage Rick again. I mean, I really feel like Carl or Judith is going to bite the dust, if not both. I mean, you could have Alexandria get swarmed. Because Carl gets shot in the face, which takes out his eye in the comics by Douglas, who is Deanna in the show. And that could be actually like which kills him.
I think that's going to be the mid-season finale. Carl gets shot in the face. Rick's cradling
with
him
the gun
in his
that
arms.
the guy took that Morgan let him take.
That's good. I like
and they're just all surrounded by zombies. That'll probably be how it ends for the mid-season.
I like that. I like the predictions. That's something I'm gonna go back and write down so we can give credit where credit's due.
I don't think I've ever got one prediction right the whole time I've been watching the show,
Yeah.
but nonetheless.
No, the first prison raid, I was like, I was thinking comic. I was like, oh man, Herschel's dead. I was naming all these people that died in the comic and was like, at least half of them are going to die. And then actually in that raid, nobody died except for all the governor's people.
On an unrelated note, just something new. I don't know why, but as soon as the first Maggie, not Maggie. Is it
Beth?
Yeah, Beth. Thank you. I was thinking her actress name.
It's so many characters in the show.
Right?
It's perfectly forgivable for
Beth's
getting names
accent
mixed
was
up.
like super thick. I don't remember her accent being like that thick. And when I heard it, I was like, has her accent been like always that thick?
Well, I was laughing to myself earlier watching season 2, the first episode where Rick is talking to Morgan for like the last time on the walkie-talkie. And he's like, I met a scientist. And I was like, don't get me wrong. I think that Rick, go watch Sons of Anarchy, though I love Sons of Anarchy. Jax Teller was a very flawlessly played character by Charlie Hunnam. However, his accent would slip a lot more than I think that they realized before they gave the final okay. Rick's, it does pretty good of keeping his, just sometimes he over accentuates like certain words. And it's like, we met a scientist.
Well, apparently he does that. Like he stays in that accent on set.
He's a method actor. They say he
dude.
has to get like, like he jumps around, he screams,
Just fires his gun off at people. He does all sorts of crazy things.
I don't see the appeal of hiring all these Brits to play Southerners, though, I mean, True Blood, Vampire Bill was a
Hamlet
Brit.
at Cambridge.
I don't know. I don't know about it.
I wondered that too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with people, taking the role, but I'm sure that I've always said, and y'all probably won't agree with me, and that's fine, but I've always said if one person could take Andrew Lincoln's spot and play it naturally.
Danny McBride.
No.
That would be a completely.
That would-
and I
that'd
would
be
watch
beautiful.
that show 110%. Oh dear
love that.
God!
I would like to. I think Matthew McConaughey could do it. I really think he could take that Rick role. He has that Southern act, the Rick role.
Sometimes you just need to be a nice country boy.
Right. He's got the
drive
accent. He's
yourself.
kind of got that look. I feel like he could do it. But, I like Andrew Lincoln a lot. I hope they don't ever off him. But, But yeah, I really was thrilled with this. Carol it's like going back, like I said, and watching season 2, how she's like, I'm at the part where they're at the roadblock. And she's like walking through, looking at like clothes, and she's like, talking about how her ex-husband didn't used to let her wear nice things. To Carol in this episode, which was running around killing pretty much every wolf that came in.
And it started out so super positive,
right?
She was all nice and everything. And
Carol is I like it. It's almost scary how domesticated, because Rick can't play domesticated. Rick comes in and he's just a straight up beast from the minute he gets in, and they realize that this guy isn't someone you're gonna chain it, reel in. Carol comes in and she's just like perfect. I mean, she plays like the perfect housewife. She bakes casseroles. But really, when the wolves come in, I bet if we do the count, she probably got easily the most kills of anyone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Morgan knocked a few people down. I'm glad to see Father Gabriel finally coming to terms.
Yeah, but I still don't. I don't
I don't
know.
like
I don't know
him
what
either.
can make him. He needs to die because there's nothing that can really make him redeemable.
Well, and the thing was too that like when he asked Carl, they had their little moment where he asked Carl would he train him or whatever, and Carl's like, "We'll learn machete."
Oh,
blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
If you go back and watch that though, he looks a lot like someone off of Wayne's World, like either Wayne or Garth standing there looking at. I challenge you to go back if you have it on DVR, rewind that and look at when he's standing there at the carriage looking at Father Gabriel, and you will see either Dana Carvey or Mike Myers.
Just the camera's all faded, looking off.
Yeah.
While you guys have been talking, I've just been recreating the entire series with Matthew McConaughey as Rick, and just every big monologue he has, he's shirtless. He's just a lot more shirtless Rick with Matthew McConaughey playing the role.
The viewership's going to go up.
Yeah. How
is.
could it not?
Absolutely, as long as he's not driving it. Watch, like they'll jump in a car and it'll be a damn Chrysler.
Do you think the governor would have bulldozed that tank over the fences at the prison if Matthew McConaughey's abs had been staring him at the face?
That's true.
No way.
No,
And I just thought of someone else that might make a good Rick, especially in his crazy stages here recently. Nicolas Cage.
Hey, I want to say yes, but
I'm trying to give the guy some
Like
work. I'm
Con
trying to help
Air
him
Nicolas
out.
Cage. I'm not sure how
Yes.
he's looking these
Put
days.
Right.
down
If-
the bunny.
I say it. Yeah, like if we're talking like Con Air back in like his early, well, not gonna say he had some really wacky stuff in his early career, but like 80s, 90s Nicolas Cage.
Ah, do it
absolutely.
now, man. Do old, worn out, just done with life,
He
hair
was going to be
plugs
Superman
falling
for
out.
a while.
Oh, dude, and I'm glad all that came to. That's a different podcast.
Yeah, he
altogether,
was
but I'm
actually
glad a lot of
doing
that
Superman.
came to light because that was some cool information.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it didn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know if I could see him as Rick. For some reason, Matthew McConaughey, I could just see him wearing like the sheriff's uniform. I had said that back in like season 1. I was like, this dude can't do it or has to cancel. And, I was good to see, man, it's like I said, too many characters. It was good to see, not Herschel, who was the other Dale. It was good to see Dale going back watching seasons 1 and 2. Like I almost wish they had time to make like these alternate universes to where certain I would love to see how like Shane would be doing like in this world, or how Dale would be, because Dale lasted a lot longer in the comics than he did on the show.
But that is the beautiful thing about the show. We get to see another universe where Shane lived past the camp outside of Atlanta.
Yeah, because he didn't last long at all in the comics. But yeah, I thought this episode was fantastic. Kevin Smith, I don't know if you watched The Talking Dead afterwards.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know you. My dad texted me after the last podcast and was like, "Really good podcast," but I really like Chad Hardwick.
That's fine. Don't even worry about committing it to memory.
He did say he was like, but I do have people like that on TV too. I can't tell you why. There's just certain people I just do not like.
I don't
just,
know
you
what
can't
it
help
is.
it.
I caught
Nothing
the first
personal.
segment. It was great. The Talking Dead with Kevin Smith.
Yeah, he said that it was his favorite Alexandrian episode, his 4th favorite Walking Dead episode ever, and in his top 20, well, not four, in his top 4 favorite Walking Dead episodes ever, and top 20 favorite episodes of anything on TV.
I didn't know his scale.
really,
I didn't know what numbers
We don't
2
know.
and 1. I need him to tell.
He's got stuff on a chart, man, and he made an everlasting blowjob metaphor that was pretty entertaining.
That was pretty.
He is. I mean, I trust him for the most part when it comes to entertainment. But
Well, he's huge
yeah.
into comics and stuff too. So I mean, nerd talk is like his second language.
yeah.
But he was just ecstatic over the episodes. He just thought it was fantastic. But yeah, so we're approaching the last little bit of the podcast. Are there any closing thoughts or anything we left out? We talked about how badass Carol was. How I'm kind of getting annoyed with Morgan's false hippie ways because you just can't. It just won't work in this new world.
The doctor woman. The
Right.
girl who's the new doctor. It's nothing against her character. Maybe it is her character, but also just her as an actress.
Yeah,
she is just
my girlfriend
phoned
had
it in or
named
just
something else she was in. What
dude,
else?
I don't know who she's like giving handies to under the table, but
Like, how did she get
how
that
did
job?
she get this role? Like, I mean, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't try to be too mean, but man,
Right.
there's got to be somebody else out there that could have done.
She
this
was just
role.
lifeless. I mean, she
Ugh.
was pretty much a zombie
She was
herself.
great. She just and I was thinking about it when the thing was going off and she like unplugged the machine and like the little power button was right there. She might as well just went, just click, just unplugged it.
Right.
Because I mean, she had no emotion. It's like you just became the doctor. You already have hang-ups about it,
Yeah.
and now this is your first patient that
Failure.
has died.
Yeah, right.
It's your first patient, and they died.
And she's just like,
And the only
What are you
support
gonna
you
do?
get from your people is like, don't forget the head. You know?
I like it too that because I actually am starting to like Tara a lot. I didn't really care much for her when she was like, when she first debuted, but as she's become part of the group, I actually like her. She's not someone that I would really freak out if she died, but I'm liking her part. She's just kind of like a laid back badass when she needs to be.
If her character is starting to grow and you're starting to like her,
she's gonna die.
die.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
I'm
that's
starting
good
to like
to
Carl. I'm still holding on to hope because I think everyone thinks Carl's safe. Like everyone thinks like Rick and Carl are not going anywhere. Everyone else could go at some point. And a lot of people consider Daryl safe, maybe even Michonne. But that's about your top 4 that you don't think, or your top 5, or however many that aren't going anywhere. But
do you think it would affect the fan, like the fan base and the viewership that much?
I
If
would
one of
still
those
watch
top
it.
characters,
If
like,
Rick died for me, I wouldn't say that I could. I'd keep watching it as long as I could. But I mean, I really follow Rick. Like that's the progression for me. Focusing the way they've, and if they do kill off Rick, it's kind of poor filming in their regard because they've had you kind of zero in on Rick's progress, and then they take him out, and you're just like, well.
Yeah, but this episode is a perfect example of a Walking Dead without Rick.
Right, and it was still really
this is
good.
amazing.
Like it was still really good. Such a good point. I mean, it possibly could, and without Daryl, I mean, Daryl wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's one of those again. I would have loved to have said. I believe it wouldn't have lasted nearly as long had you have had your main fighters there. I mean, it was like Carol and Morgan were pretty much your only fighters. I got excited when Morgan rolled up because I forgot Rick told him to go on back. I was thinking, all right, now here comes the posse. Like everybody's getting ready to roll in and just charge over the wall and start slaughtering these people.
Yeah.
And then I forgot, oh, crap, they're still dealing with the horde.
I don't know if Kirkman has like full creative control, but I could totally see AMC stepping in if he wanted to kill Daryl off. Because think of all the merch, all the Daryl merch. You know,
That is true.
Like
That's
most of
very
the stuff
true.
that gets
Yeah.
sold has Daryl's face or name
He was
on it.
pretty much what took the place when Sons of Anarchy went off the air, but it was like, I got to have some sort of motorcycle badass.
Right. Did you watch Sons of Anarchy?
No, I Netflixed like 2 episodes of it, and then I
Okay.
was like, I read Hamlet a lot back in college.
Right, it
so-
was
You're
based
set.
on Hamlet. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and it was,
But
or
yeah,
watched The Lion King a lot. When I was a
I
kid.
feel like I don't know. I feel like Daryl's going to die. I feel like they're saving his death for something like crazy extravagant, like a. I don't know. Like I said, Negan. That would be the perfect time to kill Daryl. I just will sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but to have Negan roll in, you're like, of course, people that don't really read the comics are like, who's this greased up douchebag? And the first thing he does is put Daryl on his knees and beat his head inside out as brutally as he does to Glenn in the comics. I mean, this guy's going to instantly have more hate and be more of a presence than the governor ever was on
Do you
the show.
think that's what's going to, like, do you think that they're finally going to
I think my prediction is
axe
that
Glenn?
if they, I don't want them to kill Glenn. And if they
I
did, that would be
don't
too
want them to kill
predictable.
any of these people,
Don't stick
but-
that. They've
Maybe
done
the
good of
doctor
not
chick,
being-
kill her. That's fine.
Just
but
throw her out as
everyone
distraction.
else keep them.
I have a feeling the doctor chick's gone with the. That's why. Before we go, we got about 3 minutes. We said we were going to do 15, but I love that 30 is
30's
great
good.
because I
There's
have
so
had
much to cover.
several people say, "Man, I wish it was." I could have went longer than 30 listening to it. So I was like, "Woo."
Yeah, that's what
But-
she said. So,
Yeah, but all right. So obviously, we think zombies are getting ready to crash into Alexandria in the next
doubt.
episode
Right.
too. Any predictions as to who's going down when the zombie horde swarms? And we'll close with that.
Okay.
Dr. Lady, I
Dr.
think
Lady and
Dr.
Mullet
Lady's
guy.
gone.
Dr. Lady and Mullet guy.
Eugene?
Yeah, Eugene, is that what it is?
Eugene,
Oh
no.
man,
He's going to
pretty-
die because it's going to rip your heart out. He's going to die.
No, and they could do that, but Eugene is actually still alive in the comics. As far as I haven't gotten into the
And he's
newest,
pretty
but-
pivotal to a pivotable. He's pretty pivotal,
Pivotal.
to what's going on.
He is so
but-
pivotal that we have to create a new word
Yeah,
for how
yeah, I
pivotal.
threw an
He's
extra
pivotable.
syllable in there.
That was nice. That was good.
But that could very well be the reason they take him out, though. Who's to say?
Man, I hope they don't. So you think
Dr.
Eugene,
Lady,
Dr.
Eugene,
Lady.
and some unknown person yet, and it's gonna the
Judith.
gun. I do know that gun that Wolf took is
It's
gonna
gonna
kill.
have
It's
a
gonna be
play,
responsible
yeah.
for somebody's death.
Judith is going to go down at some point. They just can't keep the baby in here that long.
No, dude. Next season she's gonna be like 23 years old.
She ages like Carl. Yeah, she'll be 30 next season. Man. Like ninja. But yeah, so I think I agree with Dr. Lady. I don't think Eugene's going to bite kick the bucket. I think that Dr. Lady and I think Judith is going to die. I hope. If you don't read the comics, cover your ears. But Jessica gets it pretty bad when the
Yeah.
zombies swarm, and her kid. Right? It's her and her.
Oh,
kid,
yeah.
which I think she only had one in the comic, right? Or
Yeah, they're trailing behind Rick through a herd of zombies, and she's grabbing onto him as they're eating her alive and her son. He has to
Yeah.
hack her wrist off with the hatchet.
Yeah, it's brutal. So
Yeah, it
I
was
feel
something.
like they
I'm
want to
looking
keep her
forward to
around
seeing
longer,
that.
but
Yeah.
I feel like she's gonna die just because you think she'd stick around because she's like Rick's new love interest.
Oh yeah, no.
And I think that they're gonna be like, "Ha, get that notion out of your head."
Nothing good can happen to Rick.
But it's
at any
interesting
given
because now I
time.
think he's with Andrea in the comic, so it's like
Yeah. So
Who's
where are you
who
going
is
to
he going to be with
I
now?
watched her death scene on YouTube.
I hated Andrea. Andrea, I probably hated Andrea more than I hated Lori. I hated Andrea, dude. I mean, the chick that plays her seems like a really cool chick in real life, but I hated the character. I mean, because Andrea in the comics was so awesome. I mean, she was a badass. She was very easy to get along with. She didn't make stupid decisions like sleeping with the governor. And then they just wrote her to be this just this moron, man. So I despised her. Like, Lori was just pregnant. Pregnant women are allowed to have a little emotional issues because they're going through. She didn't have no excuse. She was just stupid.
She was.
Lori might have been batshit crazy, but she was pregnant the entire time. She was batshit crazy.
It's a free pass.
Right. She kind of, I didn't like her, but I'll let it go under the guise of, well, her hormones were going
Understandable.
off the charts.
Maybe that's why she was trying to sleep with the governor so she could have a baby inside her. She could have an excuse to be crazy.
I need an excuse for why I've sucked so bad the last 3 seasons. But, JP, any predictions on deaths on your end?
Oh, boy. That's a tough one. There's fires in both kitchens, you know? I mean, who's going to get shot? Who's going to get eaten? Oh, brother. I think Maggie might get jerked around some. I think she might lose a limb or an ear. But I think she'll still be around.
Right.
Yeah, she's going to have to. I think she's going to have to deal with, who'd you say?
Maggie.
Maggie. Which one's Maggie?
The brunette with the short hair.
Yeah,
Glenn's
girl. Yeah, Glenn. She's going to have to suffer through the loss of Glenn.
I think they might switch it up. Maybe
Right.
Glenn will have to
Glenn.
suffer through the loss of
I
Maggie.
really like Glenn. I have turned around on Glenn. Like, I didn't dislike him in the beginning. He's like the cool little, Asian kid that's just kind of like the underdog. And now, I mean, I told someone he's had the most realistic progression, I feel like. In a season, Daryl goes from, let's put a pickaxe in this guy's head to, we need to save everybody. And I mean, that was in a matter of like days or weeks that Daryl goes from this intolerable redneck to like a team player. Season 2, he was still a little bit off the charts, but he was super into finding this girl.
Yeah.
Whereas Glenn's change took, it's like a year and a half into the zombie apocalypse, and Glenn has slowly, I feel like his has been the most realistic progression, and other than maybe like Rick's.
I can agree with that. Absolutely.
Glenn's had a lot of experience to make him into the badass that he is now. I mean, 'cause he was a wuss in season 3. The governor, Merle,
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't do nothing. Now I really feel like, remember when Merle was trying to leave in season 3 and Glenn stepped in to try to like tell him, "Oh, you can't go," and Merle just kind of threw him to the side. And then I think Maggie diffused. I feel like Glenn now might not necessarily beat Merle, but definitely would slow Merle down. Maggie wouldn't have to step in on his behalf. I feel like Glenn now would be able to handle it a lot better.
Absolutely.
So don't kill Glenn. If anyone from AMC watches this, listens, Robert
if
Kirkman,
they're watching us, please tell us how they're doing that. That's amazing.
right? But it's like it's like do not kill Glenn, please.
Right. No, yeah, that's
and any stumblings I may do, remember I talk for a living all morning up and through lunchtime, so any stumblings I have at night are excusable because I've been talking on the mic all day. So at this point in the night,
Plus
I'm a little tired.
Entertainment. So
Right, there you go. But yeah, so great podcast. I enjoyed it. I love this episode. I'm really excited for this Sunday. I hope they're on a high note right now. I'm hoping they'll ride it out.
It's crazy for a series at season 6 to keep progressing and getting better,
Yeah.
That's
like
pretty wild.
They're up
pretty
here,
wild
and
stuff.
I'm hoping that it stays. Like, I don't want to get up here and then go, all right, well, let's take another 2 episodes to slow it down. I don't mind the slow episodes as much as some folks, but right now we're on this, like, adrenaline high of badassery. Let's keep it going. And then, you can slow down a little bit later on.
Yeah, no. Well, slow down when the
when it feels right.
When the break comes, you can slow down during that. When it feels good.
No, I mean, nothing wrong with going cheek to cheek every now and then.
Podcast. I'm gonna tell you what.
There's been a lot of sexy references in this podcast.
Today.
Well, that out cue there
Scores.
is taking us out.
Scores.
That tickled.
Scores.
Here we gotta give our score on we gotta give our number score on the episode.
I'm gonna give this episode a 8.5.
8.5.
8.5.
You know what? I'm right there with you, man. I'm between 8.5 and 9. That's fresh
I
on
could
my
go to 9,
tomato
but
scale.
I'll say 8.5.
Right? I want to
just
save
because
some
I
room.
feel like there's something I'm forgetting I really didn't like about it. But I'm gonna say at
The
least
Dr.
an
Woman.
8.5. Yeah.
So yeah, 8.5 for me too.
I'm going perfect 10, baby. I can't think of one thing I didn't like. Yeah.
All right, we got our first 10 of the season.
that.
All right.
I'm easy to please.
We'll see if next week can uphold that. That's some pretty high.
That is a very high standard to be upheld too.
Well, I had fun, guys.
That was great. That was
everybody,
a lot of
thanks
fun
for
all the
listening.
time.
We will be back next week. I'm Justin,
I'm Matt.
JP here.
and we'll catch you later.
Later.